I've been wanting to do something for some time. You know, I've written a couple of books about woodworking. I've written a foundation course, and I've also written a book called My Essential Hand Tools. And in that book, there are tools that are missing, and I think that they're missing because I don't consider them absolutely essential, because they may be outdated, outmoded, or whatever. We may no longer use them. Not everybody would have access to what we call a badger plane. This is a rebate plane. It's got a skew mouth. It's not something you can pick up on eBay, apart from it being an antique and a bit outdated. And then I've got other rebate planes. So I'm going to focus on my metal planes, because these are still readily available, either new or you can buy them second-hand, which I suggest you do. So I've got a range of rebate planes, but there's only one of these planes that's actually intended for primary use in creating a rebate, and that's this one. This one has a fence, and it has a depth shoe or a depth stop or a depth gauge in different vernacular. So here I go. I'm going to talk about this one first. And I'm going to introduce these probably. We'll see how we go. We'll see how time goes. But these are what I would call secondary use planes. This creates the rebate, the rabbet, which is simply a step down in a piece of wood like this. So in other words, this was a square-edged piece like this, and we created a step down by offering a plane to it like this at the top, and we worked our way down, and it established a rabbet or a rebate or a rabbet, which depending on where you're coming from in the world. So that's a rebate. This is a rebate plane or a rabbet plane or a dual rabbet plane or a dual rebate plane, whatever we want to call it. But I'm going to stick with rebate plane all the way through, because it's crystal clear for me it's a rebate. In America, a rebate is what you get back on your taxes at the end of, or the beginning of the next year. So we can adopt both if we want to. So two countries divided by a common language. So here we go. So let me set these out of the way just for a minute so that we can focus on this plane, and I can show you exactly what this will create. I don't have a lot of room once you bring all these planes. So which ones are essential and which ones do I recommend and which ones should you buy? I'm going to try and give you as broad a perspective on this as I can. So if I wanted to create a rebate or a rabbet or a groove as well, I've got these different planes. Let me focus on this, because I'm going to just quickly put a rebate or a rabbet or a rabbet into this piece of wood and see how this does. So you can see this fence is going to steer the plane along its long axis. So if I place this on here, push with my left hand and push forward with my right, I will end up with a rebate in a few seconds like this. I've got the width of my groove set, and I've got the shoe on my right, on your side of the plane, set for the final depth. So in the time I've been talking to you, I've created a 3/4 inch or 5/8 inch rebate by 1/4 inch depth, and it's nice, crisp and sharp. Now, we're hand tool woodworkers. If we needed to make 5,000 linear feet of this, we'd probably go to a shaper or some kind of power equipment, but that's not who we are, and that's not who we're competing with. I just need this to create something like this. It's dead simple. So I make 4 rebates and 4 sticks of wood and make a picture frame from it. It's perfectly okay for us, not for industry, but you can see how crisp and sharp everything is. Now, this is what I call a primary use plane, because it's the one I use the first. I then come in with the options that I have. So my options would be planes like these. I've got a variety of different ones here. A bullnose plane, if I needed to. You know, when you're using that plane, it only has a sharp edge on this edge, but this is the side of the cutter. So that may not be planed, but it can still be good and level. If you took a bullnose plane like this, you can run it down there and you can get a nice pristine surface on this face as well by just taking off maybe somewhere not far off 1/1000 of an inch. So now I've got a pristine surface. But what happens if I say I had a groove? Let me put a groove in here for you. Can I do that? I can. So I've got a plough plane set up. Do we use this just for ploughing grooves? Well, you can actually take this plane and you can run a groove this way, and then you can turn it this way and you can run another groove into that previous groove and go all the way down, and you'll end up with a very neat corner on the inside. So I'm presenting this as a plough plane with the capacity to cut grooves, to cut rebates in. So here's my plough plane. I've got a plane cutter in here. It's a 1/4 inch. I probably shouldn't go all the way, but I will. I'm working in oak here, so that works perfectly well. So I'm only using hardwoods now. Some are dense grain, some are softer grain. So now I just cut myself a ploughed groove. Now then, this is where we have other options. This plane is called a side rebate plane. This one is also called a side rebate plane. This one just has 2 directional cutters in it. This one has one only. And then I have this one, which goes in exactly the opposite direction. So this one is called a Stanley 98. This one is called a Stanley 99. It means I can change direction with my plane. So I've made this groove. Now watch what happens here. I've cut my groove 1/4 inch and I've bought some 1/4 inch plywood, but they don't match. What would you do in a situation like that? You could plane some off here, but if you had a side rebate plane like this one, you can put it into the groove and you can take a full length shaving off the wall of the groove. It's really an amazing tool. That's what I meant when I said I wanted to do justice to the inventors in the day. So let's go again, take another one. So if I take a couple of shavings like that, and then I take my plywood, now it's fitting. That's all I needed. Sometimes you've got a box or something, you might need to take a shaving off to fit the door or something like that. That's when that comes into its own. Let me turn this around. This is my double-ended one, and I keep these, really, I keep them in pristine condition. This one doesn't have the fence on. It still works without the fence. The fence is a depth control, actually. This is the fence, so if I take this and take a shaving like this, I've got my shaving perfectly well, but then I've got some wild grain here. If I keep going in this direction, it's going to tear. I can take the other end of the plane down here and I pull it this way and I can clean up perfectly well. So it's a 2-directional plane, very handy. These work well too, and there are other options. You can get somewhere they put the 2 blades in one tool like this. One goes this way, another one goes that way. That's made by Record as far as I know. So what about the bullnose plane? We have this as a secondary rebate plane. Let me go back to my rebate. I make these so versatile. If I've just finished my rebate and I find I'm not quite deep enough and I don't want to or can't alter the setting, I can take my rebate plane and I can take all the shavings. They'll concertina inside, and I have increased the depth. If I need to go in here as I did before, I come in here and I can take shavings off the inside of that rebate, and I'm well on my way. Then we have another option here. What about this fellow? This is a shoulder plane. Why have you never seen me use a shoulder plane in any of my videos? And yet here it is on the shelf behind me, and nobody's ever asked me, why do you not use your shoulder plane, Paul? Well, this has become obsolete, and it became obsolete very early on in its life, although this plane is about 200 years. This one is not 200 years. You go back 200 years and you'll find wooden versions of this, and you'll find metal and wooden versions of it. But this was a very short-lived shelf life, really, because right when these were really coming into their zenith, didn't we come out with tenoning machines, and tenoning machines that created perfect shoulders with a single pass over 2 rotary cutters, and that's what was created. So you put this onto the platen, set your motor running, you push it forward, pull it back, and you've got 2 perfectly trimmed faces, and you've got a perfect tenon. And not only was the tenon perfectly parallel, the shoulders were as if they had been planed as well. So this is really what the shoulder plane was invented for. But that was back in the day, going back in our history books. If we looked at shop fronts, hotels, big fancy houses, they all had wooden doors. And the bottom rail on those doors might be 18 inches wide. So you had to get these perfectly straight. This is where this plane came into its own, because you could take a shaving and you could straighten that shoulder, and you ended up with a superbly plain shoulder, as crisp as you could possibly get it. Now, I keep mine because I might still use it, although if you are the proud owner of a Paul Sellers router plane, you might not even need this for this. This is a couple of mine here. If I wanted to trim up this surface after I've sawn it, I simply take my router plane. Now, you can buy this as a kit, and I'm not here to sell that kit, but you can buy the kit and you can make your own like hundreds and hundreds of others have done. You set this till it just kisses the surface, and then you can run it across the surface, and you're effectively planing that surface to perfect coplanar with this surface. So it's paraplanar to this surface. Now then, what about using this for that? Yes, definitely. I often will pull this out. If I'm working on something, I can take this plane and I can surface plane this surface, and then move over to the outside edge like this, and get the 2 surfaces as near to level as I possibly can. So I would have one of these if I could afford one. They're not inexpensive, but you can buy them new or secondhand. So they're handy to have, and you may want to trim up your shoulders just for nostalgia's sake. So that's a great tool to have. Now then, what on this one? Let's go back to this one, because I want to show you something, if I can. Right on the inside of this shoe here, this is the depth shoe, there's this tiny little cutter, and you spin that around, and the cutter protrudes at the bottom here by a paper thickness, and when you take a shaving going across the grain, let me go onto this one. If I set this fence, I can let that cutter cut down below the surface, and it cuts just ahead of the cutting iron. So I push it forward, and it's severing the fibers on the side, as well as the cutting iron is cutting the face of the tenon. So if I wanted to do that for a rebate on the end grain like that, it works perfectly. What else do I use this plane for? Well, I've got a one here where I have, this is an old version, but it still works perfectly well. If I take my cutter out, let me show you the cutting iron first. Can you see its radius? So it's got a round in this direction, and it goes full width of the cutting iron, but I only protrude the cutting iron by about 2/3 of its full width. And the reason I did this was I often need to take, because I'm only using hand tools, I do use a bandsaw, and once I've used the bandsaw, and if I want to take off a shaving or 2, or I want to true up my material, I take this plane and I set it quite deeply. When you use this plane, I'm going to go onto this piece of wood, and hopefully I can elevate it slightly away from me and move this over there. When I'm planing this piece of wood, I might have a really super high spot here and another high spot here. It could be twisted over here. I can take this plane and I can take shavings like this, and you can see it really hogs off the material, and that's what I want. After I've done that, I can go with the grain, and then after I've finished with that, I go with either a smoothing plane or a jack plane, and I start truing up the undulation that plane caused, but I've taken off the bulk of the wave, so it speeds up the whole process. That's what we want, and that's how we work generally. There's one more plane I think that I want to show you, and that's one that you may have seen before. It looks like a plane that somebody made a mistake on and cut the sides off. This is called a carriage maker's plane. This is a very old one. It's one of my collection. We used this when I was an apprentice. We made lots and lots of window frames and door frames, and we made them by hand. And when we came to every stick and stem, even into the rebates, we had to clean up the rebates with that plane, because that minimized the amount of time we had to do any sanding, but it removed all the machinery marks. So this plane works really well. Let me turn this around. Works really well, just like a number 4 smoothing plane. See, it's straightening up. I get my shaving, I get this lovely surface. Do I need to sand that? I wouldn't need to sand it at all. It's a wonderful surface. So these are secondary planes. They come after you've formed the rebate with your rebate plane. And then you can take any one of these planes and refine all of your cuts. So if you see them at a bargain price, pick one up, put it on your shelf, and you'll use them like I do periodically, but they're not essential planes. This one is definitely an essential plane. I couldn't live without this. I use my block plane often inside a cabinet where I can't get to with any bigger plane. Very handy. Also very handy, I use it to take off the hard corners, just like this, on all my pieces. It works very efficiently. So this would be creating ways of being more efficient with your rebates, your rabbets, your rebates, and your duplex planes, whatever you want to call them. So we're going to stay with a rebate plane, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, hit the button and subscribe. Keep with me, because there's always gems like this coming out every day.